Hi everyone, I'm Mateo, an engineer at Arcade, and today I will show you how to build a Gmail inbox application that uses Arcade in the background. Let me show you. So the application is your usual chatbot, and I can say something like, "Hi, do I have a new mail?" And since I'm not logged in, it will ask me to log in, and I allow it. Now it's going to send the same request, the "do I have new mail," to the LLM, and I'm going to get a reply. So it listed my unread emails from my inbox, and I can say something like, please reply to Renato saying, "Sure, let's meet tomorrow." And it does it. So let me show you how to build this application from scratch. So I am in my terminal, and let me begin by creating a directory for this project. I'm going to call it Inbox AI. So I go inside, and then I'm using UV, but you can use any Python manager. So what I'm going to do first is create a new UV project. What this is essentially a bunch of files that create a Git repository and some utility stuff. So for example, I don't need the hello program. I'm going to remove it. But I want a virtual environment. I'm going to activate that. And I also want to add some of the dependencies that I want. So the first is Arcade AI. So this is the SDK that includes OpenAI clients and so on, and everything that I need to actually send the request, manage the responses, and all of that. I want python.env, which is useful to help me manage environment variables. I also want Streamlit, which is the little framework that I use for managing the UI that you show at the beginning. So let me go ahead and open my editor. I will create .env file, and I'm going to add here Arcade API key, right, which is what we need to log in to communicate with Arcade. And let me show you how to get one of these. So I'm going to my browser. I'm at the Arcade website. And because I'm already logged in, I can just click here and it redirects me to the dashboard. So from the bottom left, I can click on API keys and I will create a new one. The one that exists is the one I used to show you the demo before. So I'm going to do Inbox AI. I create this and I'm going to copy this. But in general, you don't want to, expose your API keys to anyone. I'm going to revoke this after recording. But any API keys, any secrets, any configurations, passwords, and everything, don't put it on GitHub. Don't put it on, just keep it safe so that people cannot use your credits or, deplete your tokens, all of this kind of thing. So let me just paste that in, and actually, since I'm here, I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to add variables to the git ignore. So I cannot submit this by accident. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to close that file. I'm going to add a bunch of variables here. So the next one is going to be the OpenAI model. I want to use GPT-4o mini. I also want to change the base URL that we're going to use. And I'm going to use Arcade's URL, which is api.arcade.dev v1. And finally, I want to use I want to configure the user ID here, and I'm going to put my own email. And any email that is managed, so any Gmail, so this email account is managed with Gmail. So any Gmail should work. It doesn't have to be gmail.com. So just, if you have any email that is managed by Google, it should work here. Let me just create a script that I'm going to call main, but I want to open this side by side so it's easy for me to look at the environment variables. So main.py, and here I'm essentially going to, let's start with the terminal, right? So what I'm going to do first is I'm gonna just make a dumb kind of chat that doesn't do anything smart. Then we will add the capabilities to it, right? So I want to first import, so actually from OpenAI, import OpenAI, which is the client that we're gonna use. Then I want to say import.env and import OS, right? So the first thing I want to do is actually get rid of the env here on the side. So I'm going to load all of that. So I'm going to say .env and load.env. Right, so this use actually reading the .env file and overwriting any variable that matches anything that I configured over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of these. So I'm going to say, okay, the model is going to be OS environment get OpenAI model. I'm going to provide a default value, which is going to be GPT-4o mini. And then I want the API key. It's going to be arcade API key. I don't want to have a default for this, so if it's not there, just let it fail. And then base URL. And finally, the user ID. Right, so with this, I can close that file, and I can say print welcome user ID. And I want to say yes, welcome, essentially. And we are going to use a while true. So it is an infinite loop that will just keep reading messages from the user. The first thing that is a good practice when you use a while true is to set up a way to actually break out of the loop. So I'm going to say prompt equals input, and it's going to be from the user, so it's going to be you. I'm going to say if prompt lowercase, lower equals exit, then we break. And then we need to let that, how would the user know that they need to do that? So type exit to quit. So with this, we actually have a dumb chat. It's not even a chatbot, it's just a chat. So let's test that. Let me open a new terminal and make it a bit smaller. So I want to go to our folder, activate our virtual length, and call Python main.py. So anything that I write here is going to be just added, right? So that's not interesting. We can exit, so everything works. And now we are actually going to call OpenAI, right? So what I need first is clients. So I'm going to say client equals OpenAI, and I pass the API key and the base URL. So changing the base URL here is what makes our request go to Arcade instead of OpenAI directly. For now, it's gonna be just the same, but it's gonna be really nice when we actually add the toolkits to this. So I want to keep my code organized, and the way chatbot works is gonna be, we are gonna keep sending the entire history of message of this session to the LLM so that it remember what's been said. That's called the context. So I want an easy way to just not repeat a lot of like sending the request, like gathering everything. So I'm gonna just make a function to call the OpenAI. So I'm gonna say def call OpenAI. I'm gonna give it the client and the history of messages, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna return the actual response. So we are gonna say client chat. I want autocomplete, so I'm gonna just type that one and this one. So completions create. So what we're doing here is we are creating a request that is returning a response from Arcade in this case. So we're gonna say messages is gonna be the history, and I'm gonna show you what this dictionary should look like. Messages, the model equals, model equals model, and the user equals our user ID. So with this, we already have the client and the function to call it. So we should just actually call it. So we say, first let me actually create the history and say history, and I need to put one of the dictionaries here. So this is two keys. Is the role, which in this case is going to be user, and the content, which in this case is going to be the prompt. So this is how we add messages to the history, and we are just sending that list over and over again to the call OpenAI function. So what I'm going to do now is try accept. So because we are just debugging stuff, we're essentially going to say something went wrong. I'm going to print that and forget about it. So here what I'm going to do is say response equals call OpenAI client history, and the response essentially has a bunch of metadata as well as the raw content from the assistant. So we're going to say bot content is response choices 0 dot message content. So this is whatever should be displayed to the user. I'm going to add that to the history. So the role here should be assistant, and we are adding the bot content. And with this, I think this is, we need to print it to the user. So that is actually a chat. So we say print. This is coming from the bot, and it's going to be bot content. And with this is, this is essentially already a mini chatbot, right? So we can actually go ahead and play with it. And we can say Python main, say hi. Okay, so Liz has no, sorry. That should be append. Let's run it again. I'll say hi, and I get a reply from the LLM. How cool is that? So I can say, let's just test that, it has memory and so on. Like, my name is Mateo. Nice to meet you. And then like, what's my name? yay. So it just has the memory because I'm sending the context every time, so I can just quit the program. And then let's actually add the tool calling capability. Oh, actually, let me show you. Like, if I call this and I say like, do I have new mail? Right. It says I cannot read your email or whatever. Just check your email account directly. Essentially, it's telling me to do it myself, right? So I don't want that. So let's connect my Gmail account to the LLM. The way we do that is we go to Arcade and we get the integrations from Gmail, right? So let me open my browser, go to arcade.dev. I'm gonna go to the integrations and Gmail. So these are the available tools. I'm gonna copy all of them. I'm gonna go back to the terminal and I'm gonna basically just create a list with this, but I need to just make some renaming. So I'm gonna say available tools. I'm gonna just paste that thing here. Let me. I don't want any of the descriptions, so I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna remove that, and I need to add Google Dot to all of these. So I'm going to do that. I'm gonna say Google, which is the name of the toolkit, dot send email. And it's gonna do that for all of the lines. I want to do this, and I want to add, quotes and a comma at the end of everything in this list. So I'm gonna do that. I'm going to the end of the thing, like that, right? So we already have the list of tools that we are passing to the LLM, and we just need to pass this over here. So this is how easy it is. So we just say tools, and these are the available tools. Then tool choice, we're gonna say generate, which essentially is, we tell the LLM to use its intelligence to choose which tool to use, right? So with this, it already has access to the tool, so let's try our prompt again. It's gonna be Python main, and say, do I have any mail? So it replied with a link. It's an authorization link. So I want to handle that case like in a very different way. So for now, let's just exit. And what I want to do is essentially intercept this message, have the user click through the authorization flow, and then let us know that they authorized our application. And then we just resend the original request, like the do I have any mail? We will resend it as a new request. And the difference from the first and the second request will be that the user is actually authorized our tool, right? So let's do that. So we want to intercept this here. So let me just, oops. Just want to get this one over here. And I say if, it's a quite long condition, so let's break it down into 2 lines. Response, choice, 0 to authorizations. So if this is not empty, or if it exists, and we just copy this. If get status equals pending, which means we need to authorize, or the user needs to authorize this tool, to access to this tool. What we do is we print the bot content. So we say, yeah, just click this URL, right? So please go to this URL and click it. And we want to wait for the reply. So we say input, press enter once you've authorized the app. So once they do that, we want to essentially send the entire history again, but without the latest assistant message, right? So we don't really care about having the URL always in the context or in the history. So what we do is essentially we just call this again. So we just call the chatbot again, and it should just list my emails or send the email or whatever. So I'm just gonna save this, and I think that's all we need. Yeah, so let's try it. So do I have any mail? So I get the link that I should click. Let me just go ahead and click it. So I allowed the access, and I'm gonna just hit enter. And it listed my emails. So let's exit now, and I will show you how to build the UI. So the UI is going to be very easy to build because we're using Streamlit, which essentially allows us to declare what the UI should be. And it works a little bit differently than what we build for the terminal because we need to use the session essentially to have some kind of memory, right? The way Streamlit works is that you declare what the UI should be, and every rerun of the script will rebuild or re-render the entire website, right? So to manage stuff like the history, the chat history, and whatever, we should use what is called the session state in Streamlit to store the OpenAI client and the history of messages. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me just create a new file. So I'm gonna keep our original implementation here on the left because we're gonna copy a quite important bit of this. So let me just create a new one, and I'm gonna call it streamlit.py or like UI chat.py, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and copy most of the beginning of our script. So all of these, we pretty much all of these we're gonna use. So this is good enough, and we're just gonna keep that over there because we're gonna be copy pasting some of the if statements and so on. So I'm gonna begin by writing a bunch of utility functions that interact with the session state, right? So first, I'm gonna say, instead of having this client as a global variable, I'm gonna add the client to the session in Streamlit. So I'm gonna say create client, and that's it. So I'm gonna create a client here, and I'm gonna say, well, first of all, I need to import Streamlit as st, and then here I'm gonna say session state client equals client, or actually I don't need to create that variable at all. I can just paste it here. So we created the client there, and then we also need to do a similar thing for the history, for the message history. So we don't technically need to do this in functions, but I prefer to organize the code this way, so it's easy to say, okay, all of the stuff that we're going to call are here, and then I just think about the rendering pass of the script that is calling all of this stuff. So we're going to say def create history. I'm going to say st session history. It's an empty string. Then I want to add message to history. And I'm wondering if it's better that I just pass dictionary, or I create the dictionary here. I'm gonna say role and content, then we can change our minds. So basically what this is gonna do is I'm gonna say st session state history append. I'm gonna create one of these dictionaries that we were using before. So role is going to be role, and content is going to be content. All right, so then I want kind of our main function is going to be handle user prompt. So this is going to come from like an input field in the bottom of the page, and we are going to get the prompt from there. So it's going to be prompt. Well, but this is a callback. So every time the user inputs something and hits enter, we are going to first add it to the history. So the prompt in this case should be the last message in the history. So I'm gonna just get the prompt, or the prompt content really. So it's gonna be st session state history, the last element of the history, and I want the content. Right, so that's the raw prompt. And then I want to say with st chat message user. So this essentially adds message, like a chat message to the list of messages. The user bit is to select the specific icon that we're going to use. In this case, it's going to be the icon of an user. So this is our context, and I'm going to say st markdown prompt, right? So users can use markdown, and they will be kind of nicely rendered in the page. So we already have the prompt in the history. We've shown the message to the user, and now what we want to do is reply as the assistant, right? So we're going to say with st chat message assistant. And this is a bit more complicated because we actually need to call OpenAI here and then handle the authentication or not, and then decide what to display. So we're gonna say response is called OpenAI. I'm gonna say st session state client and st session state history, right? So it's a very similar call to what we've seen before. The only difference is that we are using the session state as opposed to just a global variable that we're using, right? So with this, what we want to do is check if we need authorization, right? So we actually can go to our other script and copy this condition. So the condition is the same. If the response requires authorization, we are going to handle that. So actually, we need one more function. We're going to say handle user auth, right? And then the user authentication is just a callback after we press a button, actually. So we made the request, the tool requires authorization. So here we need to wait, essentially, and have the user press a button or something. So I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to say, actually print the message. So let me get the content to print is the same as before. So I'm gonna say st markdown bold content. So the body is saying click this message or whatever. And I want to add a button, right? So it's gonna be st button. So this will be just below the message. And it's gonna say click here to after you've authorized the app. And we need to pass a callback, so that's on click. We're gonna use handle user auth, handle user auth. Just let me put something here. So now that the user has authorized, we can pass this bit. And what we want to do as a callback is actually call OpenAI again, right? So we do that. We intercepted the message, the user authorized. We are here, and what we want to do is just add this to the memory. So add message to history is going to be the assistant who replied, and is going to be bot content. So that's all that we want to do. So we click the button, we added that to the history, and now it's going to re-render everything. So if we don't need to handle any auth, so this is the else, we just simply put that there, and we add the message to the history, and that's it, right? So I think that's enough. So that's all the functions that we need to call, and now we just need to essentially declare what the UI is going to look like, right? So we'll begin by setting a title. So it's going to be title, and we can say, welcome to Inbox AI. And then we want to say something like markdown, your configured email is, and I want this to be a F string, user ID. So we're saying, okay, this is the Gmail account that you configured, and I'm gonna, because this is markdown, I can make this italics or something. So then I can say if client not in st session state, we create a client. Then we say if history not in session state, then we create history. And then, actually I want to do that before we declare the UI, just for organization. And now we just need to essentially redraw everything, right? So we have all of the messages in the history. So I say for message in st session state history, we say with st chat message, and we pass the role that is in the message. So we pick the right icon, and then we say st markdown message content. So this essentially will always print the title, then that greeting saying you've configured this email, and then it will print all of the messages with the appropriate role and content. And then we just need an input, right? So after we print all of the messages, we say we capture the prompt. Capture the prompt from chat input. So this is going to be chat input, and it's going to be WhatsApp. So we capture the chat input, and what we need to do is add that thing to the history. So it's going to be add message history from the user. It's going to be the prompt, and then handle user prompt. So I think that's enough, and let's try it. The way to invoke this is a bit different. So we are gonna say Streamlit, run Streamlit, or run UI chat, right? UI chat.py. So we do that, and we are immediately sent to the browser. It says, welcome to Inbox AI. You've configured Mateo at Arcade. I can say, do I have any mail? And I got the right icon for the user, and it's generating a link that I can click. And then I go back and I say, I've authorized the app. And now it's sending everything again, and it will rewrite everything except that URL. So it listed my emails again, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to try it out, please create a free account at arcade.dev and check out our GitHub. All the code is open source, as well as the toolkit code. So while you're there, why don't you leave us a star? Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and check out our other videos. There's Archer, a Slack agent built with Arcade and LangChain, and VibeWork, which is an AI work assistant built in less than 24 hours using Arcade. See you soon.